This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, the government announces a 5-stage plan to reopen New Zealand's borders. A state of emergency is declared on the west coast as torrential rain continues and slips close roads. And Otago researchers study the different effects tobacco smoke and cannabis smoke have on the lungs. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has announced a 5-stage plan to reopen New Zealand's borders. Some Kiwis and critical workers living in Australia will be able to bypass MIQ from the end of this month. And it's hoped the borders will open for New Zealanders in the rest of the world from the middle of March.
Jacinda Ardern's announcement welcome news for many, confirming vaccinated New Zealanders coming from Australia will be allowed to return and self-isolate from the end of February rather than going through MIQ. This is likely to be extended to vaccinated New Zealanders from other countries by the middle of March, with the period of self-isolation eventually dropping to just a week.
Currently, returning New Zealanders will need to self-isolate for 10 days. But as the isolation period drops for close contacts here in New Zealand, as it does in phase 2 of our Omicron response, so too will returnees only need to isolate for 7 days.
Ardern says she's hoping to be able to open the borders to Australians, who can normally travel to New Zealand without a visa, by July at the very latest. This could be good news for the southern ski fields, but tourism operators are already worried a period of self-isolation after arrival could be a crucial sticking point for tourists.
We will be continually monitoring the need for and the value of self-isolation. The strong advice from our public health officials is that we still need it to manage our way through Omicron. But there will be a time in the not too distant future when that will not be the case. For now, though, we must continue to heed the public health advice that has served us so well.
The 5-step plan will allow high-earning critical workers to enter in mid-March, but lower-paid overseas workers look unlikely to be able to enter New Zealand until October. Ardern says it's thanks to the strict border controls so far that New Zealand is in the position it's in.
We have been able to build our defences to become one of the most vaccinated countries in the world, to set up public health measures that we know work, to get our children vaccinated and our adults boosted, to keep our economy strong, to see people stay and work with unemployment at a record low of 3.2%.
The education sector will also welcome the news that 5,000 overseas students will be let in ahead of semester 2. The South Today.
Emergency services found exposed phosphorus at a property in Dunedin yesterday evening. Fire and Emergency says the phosphorus was found in Rutherford Street in the suburb of Caversham. Crews used an excavator to expose the phosphorus and diluted it with large amounts of water. Fire and Emergency New Zealand says the chemical has been diluted and there had been very little gas come off the material. Residents nearby were advised to stay indoors and roads were still closed this morning. Civil Defence is encouraging some West Coast residents to evacuate voluntarily ahead of more heavy forecast rain over the next 24 hours. Bullersmere says some people will almost certainly have to evacuate from Westport if more heavy rain arrives. And if flooding occurs, it's likely to hit similar areas as last July's event, which damaged hundreds of homes. Civil Defence officials remain on alert in the West Coast, with rain still pelting down and further significant falls forecast. Yesterday, the Met Service issued a rare severe weather red warning for Westland and Buller. A local state of emergency has been declared for the Buller district as torrential rain hits. Slips have forced a number of roads to be closed in the area, including State Highway 6 north of Haast. A study by Dunedin researchers has found tobacco smoke and cannabis smoke have different effects on human lungs. Otago University Professor Bob Hancox led a team of researchers who found while many people have smoked both tobacco and cannabis, the damage is different from each product.
Smoking tobacco has long been known to be bad for your health. Now researchers on the long-running Dunedin study have looked into the impacts of smoking cannabis. They measured lung function throughout adult life up to age 45 in more than 1,000 people. Study lead Professor Bob Hancock says it's hard to tell which is worse for lungs, cannabis or tobacco.
That's a really difficult question to answer. I think it's fair to say that there's almost nothing as bad for your lungs as smoking tobacco. But we really don't understand the long-term consequences of heavy cannabis use. As respiratory doctors, we do recognise that some people have lungs which are almost completely destroyed, and this seems to be a finding we only see amongst cannabis users. And if you are one of those people, there really is nothing we can do to repair those lungs. All we can do is try and stop the damage from getting worse.
The study is believed to have the world's most complete data on lifetime cannabis use and lung function, with 3/4 of study members having used cannabis at some stage. It found smoking cannabis also leads to lung damage, but in a different way to tobacco.
So the cannabis smokers tended to have more hyperinflation. They had a greater resistance to breathing, whereas they appear to have less actual lung obstruction, which is what we tend to see with tobacco smokers.
It's been difficult to research the effects of cannabis on the lungs because the drug remains illegal in most parts of the world. And until recently, it was assumed cannabis would have similar effects to tobacco.
We looked at 11 different measures of lung function. We found that there were distinct differences in the patterns of lung function changes seen amongst cannabis smokers compared to tobacco smokers.
He says given the widespread use of cannabis globally and the trend towards decriminalisation, understanding its effects on our respiratory system is a priority. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A car ended up in the Otago Harbour near Portobello yesterday. The vehicle went over the embankment in Harrington Point Road and ended up in the shallows of the harbour. The car was fished out of the water by a tow truck about noon, with 2 passing fishermen assisting with the retrieval process. The female driver was taken to Dunedin Hospital by a Portobello resident to be checked, but is understood to have not sustained any serious injuries. Still to come on the South Today. The government announces their future plan to help shape the economic future of Southland, and we catch up with one of the local stars from the Netflix movie The Royal Treatment, shot here in Dunedin last year.
Oh there, guess who? Do you recognise the eyes? Oh okay, it's a haircut. Anyway, it's Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores are carrying on as usual. Despite what's happening in the world, we have got some great stock for you. Personally, I've spent 50 years in this business and we have some excellent supplier relationships. We've got great stock, it's hand-picked, it's here, it's on time, and it's ready for this great summer.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So, as my favourite cut says, keep calm and carry on.
This is the big one. It's my mate John's massive annual sale, and he's slashed 20 to 80% off absolutely everything store-wide.
And my mate John.
Spark your joy with jazz, the next generation from Honda.
Hi, we're Jacinda Otago.
Age Concern Otago hosts a multitude of social activities, including Little Bobs.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Every day the team at Gillian supports grieving families at their time of need. From answering your questions to organising a farewell that reflects the wishes of your loved one, we can help. Call Gillian's today. If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Welcome back. The government has announced a future work plan to help shape the jobs and the future of Southland. The aluminium smelter at Tiwai Point is set to close in 2 years' time, a closure the government is now describing as an exciting opportunity for the region's future. The government's plan includes the goal of developing new industries, particularly in clean energy and aquaculture. Local businesses will be supported to take advantage of new opportunities. Long-term planning to build resilience in their local economy has also been identified in the plan. Like many in the arts sector, actor Marisiali Tanuka has a day job, working for Waistco in Dunedin. But after having speaking roles in a couple of films, he's keen for more, especially after the joy of surprising family members while watching a movie together recently.
Dunedin actor Marisiali Tanuka was one of a number of local actors and extras who got a small taste of Hollywood Down Under as part of the Netflix film The Royal Treatment. He was lucky enough to get a speaking role in the production. A job he says was a blast, and getting to see more of himself on screen than he was expecting.
It's good to be on a huge production like that, and the part was really cool. When I got the role, I just thought it was going to be, a couple of lines here and there, and that was really going to be it. And it was, but they actually put a little bit more in than I expected.
He now calls Dunedin home after spending time in Auckland and Wellington. Like other cast and crew members, he got an email letting him know when the movie was being launched online. He decided to gather his family together to watch the premiere at home. But only one other person in the room knew what was about to pop up on screen.
I didn't tell them I was in it, so they're watching and then go, oh. Hey, Dad. so that's always a nice surprise. Nah. So, yeah, it's always good, yeah. Obviously the wife knew, but yeah.
Tanuka has an agent in Auckland who advises him on roles, but says Dunedin's Pacific Island community is a strong network, which is another way he's found acting roles. He praised the production for having an inclusive approach to casting people from a range of cultures.
See, I'm full Fijian and represent that Pacifica community, and it was just really cool to see on this shoot how much of the Pacifica creative community came out, We're sort of trying to depict multicultural New Zealand, and they did a really good job of that in this movie, of trying to get everyone who's the skin tone or a bit darker or whatever to come out and audition.
He played a customs agent in the movie Adrift, shot in Fiji in 2017, but says The Royal Treatment was his biggest part so far. And the story has hit a chord with viewers, the film becoming Netflix's most watched film around the globe in the first week of release. Marisiali Tanuka is hoping his Dunedin performance might even attract the attention of a few Hollywood directors and casting agents. In Dunedin, The South Today.
Coming up next on The South Today, we find out who's been named in the first Highlanders team of 2022, and we take a look at tomorrow's weather for you.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Living Well Disability Resource Centre, a not-for-profit charitable organisation and your one-stop shop for information and resources to help you retain independence. We offer a wide range of assistive products from jar openers to mobility scooters and provide assessments for Total Mobility, the half-price taxi scheme. Come and see the friendly team. You'll find us on the corner of George and Bath Streets, ground floor of Burns House.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professional.
This is the big one. It's My Mate John's massive annual sale, and he's slashed 20 to 80% off absolutely everything store-wide. If you need furniture and beds, then get down to John's. He's got it in stock and ready for immediate delivery. Plus, you can pay it off interest-free. The big one. On now at John's Furniture Warehouse, Stafford Street.
Get that furniture from Stafford Street. And My Mate John.
Hi, my name's Matt and I'm the Dines Group CEO. Dines is a company that's focused on selling logistics solutions to its customers. We're passionate about selling efficiency and we've been selling efficiency for over 50 years now.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Welcome back. The Highlanders are moving into competitive mode, naming their first team of 2022 for a pre-season game against the Crusaders. The clash is expected to be competitive both between the two regions and within the teams for Super Rugby Pacific spots. And there's some good news of sorts for Dunedin.
Getting in shape for the first match of the year. The Highlanders will meet the Crusaders on Friday afternoon for a pre-season game at Western Park in North Otago. The two sides were originally going to be competing for the Farmlands Cup at an event embracing the local community. But the government's move to the red COVID traffic light setting means the game will now be played on a closed field without crowds, with the cup match to be rescheduled during the Super Rugby Pacific season.
It's just disappointing from an organisation point of view, where we could have had a lot of local fans, country kids going along to the footy and having a good day, and that's the only disappointing thing. Otherwise, it's just business as usual.
The Highlanders have named a 33-man team for what will be the first in-game opportunity for players to challenge for spots.
We've sort of had three weeks pre-season, and we need to test how that's been going, and then just giving individuals an opportunity to press their case for selection and for round one.
And with 3 players returning from injury and a few new faces in the squad, they're just as keen to get out on the field.
It's exciting. The boys are raring to go after 3.5 weeks pre-season, so it'll be good to have a go against someone else rather than going against each other.
There's still some uncertainty about how the Super Rugby Pacific season will roll out. Confirmation this week, all 6 New Zealand-based teams will move to Queenstown for a month, playing the opening 3 rounds in front of the TV cameras, both there and also in Dunedin's Forsyth Bar Stadium, which is now replaced in the Cargill as the Super Rugby night venue. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The government announces a 5-stage plan to reopen New Zealand's borders, initially to stranded Kiwis and then further afield. A state of emergency has been declared on the west coast as torrential rain continues and slips close roads, including a state highway. And a study by Otago University researchers has found tobacco smoke and cannabis smoke have different effects on human lungs. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Joe Simpson. What have you got for us tomorrow?
Queenstown businesses believe they're being punished for New Zealand's low COVID numbers and say the government's reopening plan provides little hope, as long as tourists have to isolate. However, it's a different story for New Zealanders stranded overseas, who say the announcement gave them hope. Wakari's Hospital Ward 10A is a pressure cooker trying to care for people that will be better off elsewhere, a mental health professional says. And a cycling trail from Mosgiel to Dunedin could transform travel habits for hundreds.
That's really exciting, and you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT.
Thanks.
And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Looking at the situation, further showers are likely tomorrow and Saturday as a cool southerly airflow remains over the region. Moving to the centre, starting off in the northwest of the South Island, watch out for heavy rain in Westport with 20 degrees, and it's similar for Greymouth with rain and 21 degrees. The wet weather continues in the northeast with moderate winds, 21 degrees in Nelson and 23 in Blenheim with showers. And the rain continues down along the Canterbury coast. Kaikoura on 21 with showers, Christchurch sees a high of 17 and rain, and Ashburton rain here also with 15. Looking at the southern towns, Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can all expect moderate southerlies with showers and a high of 14 degrees. Moving to the Central Lakes, Wanaka, Queenstown and Alexandra, moderate southwesterlies with rain and a high of 14 degrees. Similar in Te Anau with moderate southerlies and showers, also with a high of 14. Heading across to the northern towns along the east coast, Timaru and Oamaru expect moderate easterlies with rain and a high of 14 or 15. Similar inland at Twizel and Tamarama with moderate easterlies, some rain and a high of 15 degrees. In Dunedin, there will be periods of rain tonight with moderate southerlies and an overnight low of 12. Tomorrow will be overcast and cold, and so will Saturday with moderate to fresh southerlies. Expect periods of rain tomorrow which may be briefly heavy during the afternoon. A high of 13 and a low of 11. And look out for showers on Saturday morning which should start clearing during the afternoon. A high of 14 and a low of 11 degrees. And in Invercargill, showers start clearing for a time tonight with southerlies dying out in an overnight low of 11 degrees. Another period of showers and cold winds will start freshening during the day tomorrow, then clear during the afternoon. A high of 13 and a low of 10. And it should be mostly fine on Saturday with sunny periods, some cloud, moderate southwesterlies bringing cooler temperatures. A high of 15 and a low of 10. And that's the news this Thursday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. Nō reira, kia pai te pou, ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.